We are here at the Baltic Real Estate Leaders Forum in Riga, and I'm here with Albin Rosengren, who just participated in a panel debate about investment and investment capital here in Baltics and also in Central and Eastern European region. Albin Rosengren definitely is not a person who needs an introduction in the real estate market and for real estate professionals. So I can just only mention that he's a partner and head of real estate and external growth at East Capital. So we are very happy for having you, Albin. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for interviewing me. It's very nice to be here.
We were just listening the panel debate about this investment float and investment going here from Baltics also to other sides and other countries. Could you state a little bit and say about what's East Capital's outlook for this region in the closest or nearest future?
I mean, for us, we've been here investing in the Baltics for 25 years. So for us, it's a home market. It's something that we always will work with. But if we talk about the nearest future and the outlook and our plans, I think we have the fortunate situation that we have actually quite a lot of money which is not invested. So in these slightly turbulent times, I think we can use that and deploy it hopefully quite well. If we look on the region and the outlook for the region as such, I mean, history will tell us that the Baltic states are actually very robust and quite able to handle crisis and things changing. And I think the Baltics have probably never been better equipped also to deal with crisis than what they are now. So I expect that things will get tougher. We all know that we have to spend more on our utility bills, on food, on the basic necessities. Inflation is, I would say, crazily high at the moment here in the Baltics. Salaries will not keep up with that, so it's going to be a tough period, and that's going to impact consumption. And as we heard also today, we're most likely already in a recession mode here in the Baltics and perhaps also in Europe. So that is a challenge, but I do feel very hopeful that the Baltics will deal with this, and they've done so very efficiently in the past.
Yeah. Well, yeah, interesting. You mentioned that there's a lot of money which is not yet invested, and so that means that in a nowadays situation with this inflation, that money actually losing its value from one side. Yeah.
Yeah, you could say that. Obviously, my definition of inflation is that the money is losing its value, but on the other hand, the assets that we will be acquiring are perhaps also depreciating a little bit in value. So I think it feels for us really good to have this cash available and to be able to deploy it in the coming year or two.
What would you suggest for, let's say, developers and project builders in order to attract a good investor in this situation and in those market conditions?
Well, it's a little difficult maybe to just talk about these market conditions right now, because I think we're at peak uncertainty. You and I don't really know what is going to happen to energy prices or interest rates, and if we knew, at least we could take comfort in that, even if it was going in the wrong direction. But we're at the peak uncertainty, so it's a little bit difficult for an individual developer or any market participant to do something that overcomes this fear. But I think if we look a little bit more broadly on the region and what can be done, I think at least to me, we also heard another presentation today from Marcus Schaefer regarding successful cities and regions and what they need to have. And I think it was a very good presentation. One of the main conclusions was that you need to be embedded in a greater economic zone or economic region. And he was talking about a global city north or global north. And I think that's so important. So if you think about these markets and how they can attract capital in a systematic manner, then they need to be integrated into surrounding economies. If they are integrated, the Baltic states, I think, could be more integrated with each other. They certainly could be more integrated to the countries around the Baltic Sea. But I'm not saying they haven't been, but I think we can continue that work, because Northern Europe is super successful in a European context. And I think if we build on that, then there will be more businesses, there will be more investments, and ultimately that will impact also developers, of course, and the real estate markets.
Yeah, and it is usually, at least here in Baltics, that at least if we're speaking with the banks, then banks are more interested to invest in big cities like in Vilnius, Tallinn, and Riga. But we also know in order to boost some economic also in local regions, there need to be such an anchor projects or something that actually attracts the people, attracts businesses, and so on. So what's your view on how this investment availability is split in Baltics, between those big cities and those rural areas?
Well, I think the thing we just spoke about, creating these greater economic zones, you can see the effect on that. If we take Lithuania as an example, I think Lithuania has quite successfully marketed itself as a very good hub for business, for local companies, from a regulatory point of view, from business services point of view. And I think the way to make the regions more lively is to make the capitals even more lively, because if you look at Vilnius and Kaunas, it's clear that Kaunas is being pulled in to the growth that very much has started or been driven by Vilnius. So I think there is no silver bullet, like you build a Burj Khalifa and everyone comes to see it. You need to create that attractive environment, and when you have a lot of demand for talent and capitals are growing, then companies will start looking also at the regions and the secondary cities.
Yeah, and definitely the biggest investment project across all three Baltic countries is Rail Baltica. And when it will be finished, there will be definitely some new opportunities, new possibilities for some separate places. How do you think how this will shuffle and change market situation here?
Well, I must say I'm no expert in saying exactly which micro-locations will benefit, but I think if history tells us anything, it's that it's hugely beneficial that we have good infrastructure between the countries and that we connect the region as we spoke about before. So you can travel quickly both by car or by truck or by train between the countries and down into Europe. And I think that is going to drive economic interaction, integration. It's going to drive trade and establishment of businesses. So I think all of that is exactly what I think is needed to create this, to pull these three economies into a bigger setting, a bigger ecosystem. So I think that this will be hugely beneficial. And if it could be continued with a tunnel between Tallinn and Helsinki, I'm sure that would have also a massive positive effect. But that's maybe a little bit further down the road.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you very much for coming to this conversation, and thank you very much for your participation in panel debate.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So this was Albin Rosengren, and let's meet in other discussions.